In this episode of the Brand Gravity Show, I have a wonderful conversation with the amazing sales and marketing strategist, Hera Zee. Our conversation is full of not only tangible tactics of how to sell more of whatever you are selling, but we have a beautifully human connection towards the end about how to make sales and business in general work for you and your energy in different phases of life and of business. Hera Zee is a sales and marketing strategist for online entrepreneurs who want to structure their business for profit, sustainability, and growth. For the past decade, Hera has been a strategist behind the scenes of thousands of brands and has become known for her ability to find a business's blind spots and leverage them to increase profit and sales. Her real, honest, and transparent way of explaining things is a refreshing take on marketing in 2022 and beyond. I think you are going to enjoy this one immensely. Let's get to the interview. Can you give us a quick introduction to who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there?
I'm a sales and marketing strategist. That's probably where my passion lies. And I think my area of expertise, or that zone of genius, which is a blessing and a curse, is that I see things from big picture. And I notice where people are missing holes in like that sales journey. So it's intense to see it all and feel it all, but I'm helping people formulate that sales journey and stop leaving money on the table. Is like overly used cliche term, but it's a fact. We're in business. Like there are levers that you can pull to make more money, ethically, of course.
I think of myself as a big vision person too. So I love that we have that in common. I feel like a lot of people, maybe this is more true in the beginning of business, but I've heard it quite often, even for people that have been in business for years, who have an aversion towards sales, or at least they have an aversion towards feeling salesy, right? Yeah. So what do you tell people who are nervous about focusing on sales?
I think there's a lot of people online now and online business owners now, which we were just talking about, right? They were OGs. Like I got my start in 2005. And I also used to be a teacher. So I've always looked at sales as going towards a business aspect, right? Sales to me it's education. You are educating, marketing is educating and informing a person so they can make a decision. Something huge in 2022 that I've been, even in 2019, back before all the pandemic, but everybody was online. Everybody was a business owner. So they could be feeling that now, right? Like I feel salesy. Oh my gosh. If you are educating people and you are not the FOMO tactics of like, hey, I have this timer and timer's running out, but it's a fake timer. You're really meant to educate and inform. I want to bring up the archetypes where I first met you was with the archetypes, understanding that psychology of a human being and what influences them, what bonds you and connects you with them. I think that's what we should be focusing on instead of sales, actually, is the human and helping that human make a decision.
I think it's so interesting when we look at psychology because even in our own skin or like in our own decision making, we often don't even recognize all of the factors that go into making a decision unless you study psychology. How did you learn what those levers are that lead people to a sale?
I'll give you my story and then my recommendation. I did study psychology. It's also one of the things I love about you. I know you're psychology driven. However, I don't think anybody needs to, you don't need a master's in this stuff. You don't need to go and dig into it. You could probably read one book. I think without studying psychology in a college or a university or a major course, what happens if you maybe pick up a book or like dig into some of Kaye's stuff or just practice a little bit of mindfulness and self-awareness. So what I've seen a lot in the past couple of years is a lot of entrepreneurs online being like, I hate the hustle. I hate the grind. I'm going to slow down. And I'm actually watching everybody start to embrace work again, which is beautiful, right? Because it's all these definitions. Yeah. But I think without having to go deep into study of yoga, psychology, mindfulness, meditation, Joe Dispenza, just pause. And like when you're looking at a sales page, take note of how you feel. there was a program that I bought maybe a year ago. And I remember before I purchased it, I said, okay, why would I buy this? And why would I not buy this? Like, what are my, for lack of a better, marketing terms, what are my fears and my hesitations that are holding me back from joining this program with this mentor? And just taking that time to self-reflect, I think is huge. You don't need to be certified in anything to be a human that goes a little slow,
Yes. I do the same thing. Literally, if anything ever inspires me to click on it, even if I don't realize it like in the moment, I'm just like, going through social media and I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting. Let me click on it. As soon as I do that, I've trained myself now to stop, to pause and be like, oh, what about that thing made me click? And you can learn so much from yourself. You don't even need to have even a sales conversation. You can learn from your own experience of being a consumer, of being somebody who buys things, and to self-analyze. I think that's such great advice.
You're just giving me chills right now, because it's like, I'm with it. I'm so about it. It's the truth. And I wish more business owners would do that. But I think that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah. And I have to ask, what did yoga teach you about sales?
Oh, I say this a lot because a very good friend of mine says, first thought, best thought. And my first thought, best thought is when I was getting certified for yoga, I got up and this is great. This is great advice for people too, actually, because it did teach me about sales in a way. I got up to teach my class to get certified. You had to teach a class. And it was me feeling very insecure and very new and very, I guess now they call it, right, imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to teach yoga? AKA, who am I to sell this thing, So I got up to teach the class and I froze. And not only did I freeze, I cried in front of everybody. And I said, I can't do it. Like, I'll cry now because it's kind of embarrassing, actually. But it was yoga. And this is a place and a space for acceptance and non-judgment. And my yoga instructor, God bless her, comes up to me, and she was from Venezuela. And she had this beautiful accent, and she called me Hera, which that's not how I pronounce my name, right? She goes, Hera, whatever you give from your heart, and it is perfect. And I was like, whoa, whatever I want to give, if it's coming from my heart, it's perfect. And that's how I do sales. That is how I do sales. I treat sales as a recommend. I'm feeling this so hardcore right now. I treat sales as a recommendation for, this is something from my heart that I know you are struggling with this problem. And I know that this is what you want instead. I get you. I see you. I hear you. I listen to you because I'm conscious and I'm aware. I pay attention. Like, you're a human. So I'm not a number. So if I have a solution for you, it's coming from my heart and it's perfect. So that took a lot of fear away from, am I being salesy, pushing? No, it's coming from love and transformation.
It's such an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing it on so many levels, because there's that element of getting up and trying something even before you feel ready. I think that that's key. But just that reminder to come back to the service, come back to how you're pouring into other people can remove a lot of the angsty feelings about selling. I want to get into social media in a moment, but before I do, one other question that was prompted from your story. You say that you pay attention. What does that actually look like? Like, how do you hear people's pain points or desires? Like, where do you get that information from?
I do think it's something that takes practice, for sure. After doing it so many times, and I always tell people, like, when they start business, again, you and I, we've been in business for over a decade, we'll put it that way, right? Almost. So that takes practice. And I do a lot of gardening and farming, actually. And I think when you watch sometimes the way like seeds grow, I don't know if anybody is into this, but when you watch the way nature moves, it moves at its own pace. So I like to say that my business should be just like nature. And it is also a spiritual practice, but that's another podcast for another time. Your business is going to move at its own pace. I don't think it can be rushed any more than a seed can be like rushed to grow. I mean, maybe you can put some grow lights on it, And that might be informing yourself and taking the courses, getting the mentors, doing the YouTube and Google University to learn. But for me specifically, it's funny because I say that I'm psychic, and I really think I am. And it comes in these like gentle waves of, oh my God, that's the best idea ever. Like getting a dog right before the pandemic. That was a great idea. Reference number 2 to the pandemic. Those are some hard years there. But fantastic for marketers, but challenging mentally, emotionally, and physically too, right? I think my psychic moments is in 2019. I was like, okay, I want to create multi-millions of dollars in my business and my organization. How am I going to do that? Idea. If you want to receive multi-millions, you must give multi-millions. Okay. What does that mean? Because I don't have it. How am I supposed to give it? And the idea came with, okay, let's give away what is valuable to them. So people wanted marketing strategies. And again, it happened right before 2020 hit. And that's what everybody needed. So the social media and the selling really became, I'm just going to give it away. I'm going to give my best stuff away. And I said that I was going to do 1,000 free marketing calls. And it was the best idea ever because do you know what it was? It was all of that practice jammed into listening to what people needed with a heart of service and just giving them that. And the outcome of that, of my no pitch, no FOMO, no sales page. I'm just going to do 1,000 calls. And again, I've had people duplicate this with saying 100 calls. And I think that's still a lot. Do 5, right? For whoever's listening, do 5. I had the time and the space and the means to do 1,000 and the energy. It ended up fantastic. In 2020, it was over $100,000 of sales and then 30 grand a month recurring revenue. Yeah. Silent applause. And
Amazing.
That was people asking me, okay, those are my next steps. Great. Let's put it into play. Okay. How do I work with you? Okay. There was no fancy tech, no nothing. It was like, let me just give. And that's how it turned out.
That's amazing. What I'm hearing from that story is that maybe sometimes we overcomplicate sales. Like maybe it doesn't have to be this cryptic equation that we're putting together. I mean, sometimes, funnels can be complicated. There's technology and there's different steps that we're leading people through. But especially when you're getting started and if you're trying to listen to people, simply getting on the phone like you did is so powerful. And what a great reminder to do something simple. It's amazing.
Be willing to take that action, make it simple, and then also give yourself grace and space and permission to yoga, be flexible, right? Bend so we don't break. It turned out I was like, I made an announcement on social too. I was like, the 1,000's going to take me like at least 3 years. So we're 2.5 years into it and I've done about 700.
Wow.
It's wild.
Bowing down to. That's amazing. And such an incredible way to give back to your audience and to your community. Take us behind the scenes. What was the actual tactics of inviting people onto those calls? Like
when you are acting in integrity and in service, which some people hate the word service and they're like, I prefer you to say support. Whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. But the technical aspect of it and how I filled that calendar, right? Because of course we need traffic. We need eyes on our offers. Social media was the main thing. I ran no social media in my stories was where it was at. So this was also a time where like you could post Twitter post on Instagram and it would just go crazy viral. So I had a little bit of that going on, and I'll share with you all of the things that went on because in case Instagram is not working for you right now, it was a little bit of Instagram posting, right? Now it's probably Reels. Having that message in my bio, when people do land on my profile, that message was very clear and it had one thing for them to do and one thing only. So some people, everybody came really from Instagram and then also Facebook groups. And some paid Facebook groups where they were networking groups or not going to lie, like some high ticket programs I was in. I would tell people about it, and I'll even give you the exact wording I used in some of the Facebook groups where I would respond to somebody authentically and genuinely, right? The Facebook groups you go in, you're not going in to poach. You're going in because you're a member of that community and you're helping people out, and you're also asking questions and wanting help. Those are the best type of Facebook groups, I think, for traffic. But somebody would post something and they'd be, I'm confused and this and that. And I'd say, listen, go to the link in my bio and Instagram, hop on one of those calls. They're free. They're fun. I don't pitch. I don't do FOMO. It'll be the best 30 minutes you'll ever have in your life. I guarantee it, because they were fun. So from doing maybe those 2 tactics alone, and then I want to share everything with you guys. The hard part is you guys implementing it. Okay. I know. The strategies and ideas are a dime a dozen. It's the implementation that's like where the gold is, and whatever your success is, right? If it's gold, silver, platinum. But once I would have people come on those calls, they were all recorded. So we could make little promo videos out of that. And I could then promote it on social media, and I could have the people, like, it's that boomerang effect, right? Whatever you put out, there still had to be some reciprocation. So you're not paying me, it's free, but what do I get? Your email address? Well, that's cool if I want to build out a whole long email sequence. How about if you share this stuff and give me some more traffic? I felt like that was fair. So I would always tell the people that came on, if you love this, like, here's your strategy, there are your steps. You have 2 weeks to go implement it and get back to me free of charge. And if you loved it, please tell other people. Please tag me, please shout it out. So kind of like user-generated content there.
Brilliant. I mean, it's not that complicated, but yes, the magic is in the implementation. It's actually making the invitation, actually getting on the phone call. Tell me about the stories. What were you doing there that you think was working so well?
Pretty much every day. I'm not going to lie. Now I don't go on stories as much, because after you do it for 2 years, like, you kind of built a little space for yourself. I was on every day. I remember I was using a lot of polls at the time and questions. I was tagging a lot of people. So basically the gist of it, like, without going down the entire list, is I was being social on social media. I was treating it like it was my playground. And when I was on a story, I was speaking to one human and several different humans, but it was almost like it's one at a time, you know, like I would talk about the things that happened that I was doing. So it's like, oh, a client said this, let me show you how I dealt with this. So a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of like, I just want to walk you into my world and make your life better. Here's a tip. And like, even little things like, what are you wearing today? Here's a good song. Like, I mean, I do have very strategic ways and prompts now that I've from that year, like I can give people, but the key is to be social on social media.
I'm almost like frustrated with myself because sometimes I forget these things. I forget to be social on social. Is there any advice that you give to people that are just feeling a lot of resistance about showing up consistently, showing up and being personal?
So as of today, in this date, I mean, this is a strategy that it would definitely work and you can still employ it. However, if you are feeling like, I don't want to be on social, I mean, I just shared with you that I'm not on social media as much. So here's the best advice I can give you, right? And here's where the strategy brain comes in. Social media is a tool for what, right? Here's where we pause and we get more cerebral about it. Social media is a tool for connection, a tool for visibility, aka traffic. So if you are not feeling like you want to connect, and if you're not feeling like you want to be on social media, then you just need another tool to do the same thing. You can use email. You can create pre-recorded videos that could be put anywhere else. I mean, we're just looking for what are the ways to get traffic. And I had shared too, Facebook groups. Yeah. So I think the key is what type of tool, quote unquote, would you enjoy using to generate more of that traffic? Full transparency for me right now I'm running ads because I don't want to be on social media so much, because ads are the tool for traffic, right? So just pick a different tool.
And another thing that I heard from your story just now is that you approached it with the spirit or the energy of play, which I think makes everything work so much better. I like to ask myself and my clients, like, what would the 7-year-old version of yourself just get geeked out and excited to do? Maybe you should do that instead of the thing that you think that you have to do to be successful or get results, because our energy often, it absolutely influences our results, if not completely dictates our results. So thank you for sharing that part as well. Amazing. We're going to get right back to the interview. For the next few seconds, I'm going to share with you my Brand Clarity Collective and how it can help you grow your income and impact. If you're an entrepreneur who feels stuck or uncertain about what makes your brand stand out, then this is for you. The Brand Clarity Collective is a mastermind multiplied by mentorship. It's part online curriculum, part digital mastermind, and it's designed to help you get crystal clear brand clarity so you attract more perfect clients and grow your business. We have a thriving community of entrepreneurs who are all smart and driven. As a member of the collective, you get an all-access pass to all of my best branding courses, as well as access to our private community where you can connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and get feedback and support directly from me on our coaching calls. The Brand Clarity Collective is priced at just $297 per month, and after 6 months, you keep lifetime access to all of the courses. To learn more and to see if it's right for you, head over to my homepage at kayeputnam.com. There's a big section where you can click to learn more. I'll also include the link in the show notes wherever you are listening or watching. All right, let's get back. You have some freebies related to stories. Can you talk to me about what that is? I am so intrigued.
Yes, that's part of the beauty of making it sustainable, playing, enjoying. Like what you just said almost brought me to tears, because I think if we realize how long we are actually going to be in business, we would start to make it a little bit more enjoyable and sustainable. Some of the things I think would just be awesome for this talk and for everybody. Yes. It's same thing I did with my Instagram is if people go to my Instagram, there's one thing. There's one thing. I love like a straight shooter. Here's where I want people to go. This is what's going to help people the most. In Instagram, people can go to my Instagram, which I'm sure will be linked somewhere, and they can take a quiz. I know you love quizzes. That will kind of help them find out where the holes are in their business if they're looking for an overall bigger strategy. And that's completely free. That's my way of shifting from the 1,000 calls, so I'm not constantly on the phone or Zoom. But the other thing for stories, which I think is really cool, and it's something that, especially for that person who is not wanting to show up in stories, like perfect segue, right? We have these little memojis that we made. So if they're up in my stories right now, but you guys are listening to this way later, it's you recorded. So, when you go to hit the GIF and paste in a person like pointing or dancing or clapping, well, my team records you doing that and then allows you to paste that into stories. So it's like perfect for, if I tell you, for the past 6 months, it's been like the only way that my face and my body have shown up in stories. So it's a beautiful way of showing up in stories when you don't want to. And I think you would agree, like it's great, top of mind brand awareness. Like there you are, but you're not. You're sitting in your PJs with your glasses on and like probably somewhere in your underwear, and I call it a memoji. Your memoji showing up for you. Yeah, they're really cool.
Amazing. Yeah, we will share the link in the show notes or wherever you are watching or listening to this. And the other thing that I love about what you're saying is that I'm hearing that you've embraced the cycles, or like you've embraced the ebb and the flow, and just are still following your energy. So you were called to be of service and to show up really powerfully. And then now it sounds like you're shifting that and giving yourself a little bit more, maybe like behind the scenes space, but are still showing up as a brand. So I love hearing that part about your story. What has that looked like?
Reference number 3, potentially 4, pandemic changed a lot. It changed a lot of my priorities, and then personal things that had occurred during those years with, I will say it because I think maybe more people, I guess, experience it, but there was a lot of death that I had experienced in my personal life. And it was just like, wow, again, I don't know how personal we want to get, but my grandmother was 100 and she died at 100. And I saw this circle of like, and that's what she wanted. She always said she would go to 100, but I saw this circle of like, I get 100 years and how do I want to spend it? So those are some of the specifics of my personal life, what happens, but really just being so burnt out and it not being sustainable. And her name, I forget her name, but it was a mixture of chillpreneur and, oh God, what's the name of the book where the woman talks about cycle syncing? Northrop. Yes, that's it. I think it's called Do Less.
Oh, yes. Is it Do Less?
Dang, I can't believe I don't have that name.
Yes.
Ready, but I think it's Do Less. So cycle syncing. My body was just giving out. And then I realized, wow, let me just test and experiment what happens if I start blocking off call days? What happens if I shift this? So it all became an experiment just to see really if things would crumble if I stopped. And thank God they didn't. But now I have that trust. It will make it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing the personal stuff behind the business, because I think too often we try to be superhuman. We try to be everything all of the time. And in my experience, that's not possible. So we may have campaigns or we may have like sprints, but thank goodness we don't have to do that all of the time. It can create a lot of really amazing results in our business when we have that burst of energy, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And to expect that from yourself is probably not sustainable.
Thanks. Even if you just want to have a life, I wanted to separate. I didn't want to share the things that were going on in my personal life with my clients. So because I didn't feel it was appropriate. I just didn't. Some people do, and that is also great. For me, I didn't. I wanted them completely separate. So I started to create this space in my days to be a human and rest.
Yes. More wise lessons from the garden. There has to be a winter. There has to be that follow rest period. And we are of nature too. So we need that time ourselves. So thank you so much for sharing that. We kind of took an unexpected turn around a corner there, and I love it because we are all so human and we have to be reminded that that is okay. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So my audience, people in my orbit, people watching, they love to learn. And as a sage, I'm sure that you can resonate with that deeply as well. I would love to hear what has been the best way for you to learn, whether it's a book or a particular
first thought. So I've, again, in that self-awareness, I've learned that I really do like to read and hear. So if it's a course, I love to consume things also on my own. I've also found recently that group programs challenge me because I have to do double the time of like, okay, I'm in the group and this is the amazing stuff I'm getting from the group. But now if I really want to absorb, I have to go do this on the other end. So reading and listening, whether it be a course, I have to, or if there's nothing written, then I have to write it.
Same. I love reading books. I think that it's absolutely amazing that you can get decades or years of somebody's experience in this like $12, $20 asset. Like, this is amazing. And then what has been a lesson that if you could like plant a seed in everybody's brain?
Know thyself. It's back to the beginning of our conversation, taking that moment of, how does this make me feel? What do I think about that? Why did that make me stop? What would be fun? So maybe it's like journal prompts or something helps people, right? Or to get curious about just what am I feeling right now? I think the more you do that, the more you get to know yourself. And that really, truly creates what you had said before, right? Of better knowing others, which when it comes to sales, we want that. And then better knowing what's best for you and how you want to build your business for the long haul so you can be OGs like us. and have a business that, I don't want to say runs on its own, but at a very minimum, it's walking on its 2 feet or maybe 4. I don't know how many feet. My business sometimes has like lots of feet.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Hera.
I'll put a link to my like about me page down below if you want it. We'll do that where people can creep on what I do.
Perfect.
You're amazing, incredible, your brain. So thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here on today's episode with Hera. Definitely head over and say hello to her on Instagram. She's Hera Zee, HeraZee on the Instagram, and say hi to me as well. I would love if you took a screenshot of wherever you're watching or listening to this and tag us. What was your favorite part of this episode? I would love to know. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review. It helps smart entrepreneurs, smart humans like yourself find this show and learn how to grow their psychology-driven brand. If you're curious what your brand archetype is so that you can lean into being more human, being more of yourself in your business, head over to kayeputnam.com/quiz, and I help you identify what your innate brand advantage is. Like we mentioned in the episode, Hera is a sage archetype. We share that archetype, and my other archetype is magician. So knowing this about yourself can create a lot of clarity and more confidence as you show up to sell whatever you're selling. And Hera's generous offer for 40% off of those Memojis is linked in the show notes or below, depending on where you're watching or listening. She also has a quiz to help you identify your business roadmap, and you can find that link also in the show notes or linked below or in her Instagram profile. Thanks for being here, and I will see you guys on the next episode.